Good morning. All right, we are live. Welcome everybody. Morning Trin. Let's get this thing started. Let me go ahead and share the YouTube. All right, we're good to go. So, how is everybody doing this morning? I do have some I don't know what you would call it, maybe like a theory. We kind of have a lot to talk about this morning about what's going to be happening today after hours with Tesla earnings and stuff, and Bitcoin's getting a smackarooski. Okay, so let's go ahead and just dive into the ES first, and then we will start getting into anything else. Morning, Patrick. If you guys have any questions, just bring them up. If you guys could do me a favor, go ahead and bang that like button, and that would be great. Like, follow, share if you're watching on Facebook. There you go, D. Keeping that C. Remember, we do have a poor low on that B low. So if we look at last night and we look compared to yesterday, we opened up today on a gap, right? And we opened up here. So here's yesterday's high. We opened up on the gap and closed that gap right away. B opens up. Where was that B open at? It was right on the settle. That's where it was at. Yeah. So B opens up, came down, took the low just one by one tick, ran out of selling, popped back up. Okay. We basically are, still below that spike, and we're filling in a lot of value in that spike. Today's kind of an interesting play. Like I said, we're using our spike as resistance, and what I was looking for is for us to get above this 72. That's that old Fed move, and hold. But pretty much every time since we've been above there, it's just come up and then basically come right back down. Even during C period, we came up, came right back down. When we zoom out a little bit on this, what I want you guys to be thinking before we just start, going or getting insane, right? We have our balance. Remember, we have this balance. This is not really a far extension of balance. Remember how we extended the bottom side of balance? What was it? 75 to 64, about 10 points below. And this is 66 to 85, so about 20 points above. Still, I would say that we're not, back in, not back up through, right? And then you have this other balance up here, and that's where, the target would be up at that 4,500 to 4,510, I think is where we'll probably see some resistance. But I mean, really not much going on yet here with the ES. There's a lot of news that we're going to get into here in a second, with whole Netflix getting just absolutely a smackarooski. And maybe possibly setting the tone for what's going to be happening going forward with the rest of the market, especially with big tech earnings coming up this week, or well, at least Tesla, and then we've got big tech next week, I think. If we take a peek at Netflix, we can see, I mean, my goodness, they got the old smackarooski. Let's see, they're down about 36% from yesterday. And then also Facebook is getting the old smackarooski. This is actually something James and I were talking about the other day, that um, if Facebook breaks this, the daily, if Facebook breaks this 180 level, it's probably coming down, 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 down. Right? You guys heard that song before? But I mean, like, it's not looking amazing for them. That's for certain. Right? And if we take a peek around the block, we can see Apple's red, but just barely. Microsoft's green. Google's down over 1%. Amazon's 2.5%, Tesla's down 3%, Nvidia's down 3.5%, Facebook's down almost 7%. You can see healthcare is doing pretty good, right? They're looking up. Johnson and Johnson had earnings yesterday. Disney's getting clapped, down 5%. He's doing good. PayPal's down 7% almost. Anything that has any ties to crypto is just getting smacked right now. So that's something just to note. Be careful, right? When we are looking for Bitcoin to be a risk-off asset, right? You know, that should tell you something right there, that obviously it's not necessarily getting that risk off that we would like. So you've got to be careful with it. Tommy, what's up, man? How's it going? Okay, so now we'll get into some hypotheticals, right? Oh, and let me do a quick sponsor. Today I'm drinking Black Rifle Caramel Vanilla Espresso, natural caffeine and focus, 300 milligrams of freedom fuel. I'm just kidding, but I am drinking that, and it is fucking good. Black Rifle Company, Coffee Company is a veteran-owned coffee company, and I just, you know, they just started making these drinks. It has sugar and stuff in it, about 22 carbohydrates per can, and 300 milligrams of caffeine is just too much for one person in one sitting. So, does Rogan have the Black Rifle thing? I haven't listened to Rogan in so long, ever since he switched to a um Spotify, because I don't have Spotify. I have Amazon. And so, but I used to listen to him every single day. Me and my buddy Sanchez, just at work, that's all we would do. As soon as we get in, boom, listen to yesterday's episode. You know, and they're normally like 4 hours long. Good information most of the time. I like to listen to Rogan when he has more of the sciencey people on. I really like the way that he is able to draw information out of people. He's good at that. And I think it has to do a little bit with you know, sometimes people are a little bit nervous around him because they know that he could kick their ass. So that, you know, that makes people a little bit nervous most of the time when you're around people and they know that you can kick their ass. They act a little bit different than normally. Um, Take a peek here quick too. Look at the breadth. The breadth on the Nasdaq is way more negative than the NYSE, right? And if we're looking at our weighted, check this up. Looking at our weighted, we can see that in the weighted sectors, we're getting a lot more selling, right? Information technology, consumer discretionary, communication services, a lot more selling here than in the other sectors. Coming back down to the settle right here, a little bit of buying off that settle. Oh, you don't need the subscription? Oh. I listen to the episodes once they come on YouTube, because a lot of times eventually they come on YouTube like once they're old enough, I guess. So the ES is about to go red here. I mean, even though we're down below the open today, but we're about to go down below yesterday's settle. Nasdaq's getting clapped down 1.25%, but the Dow's still up about 0.5%. The Russell's up 0.5%. Bonds are up. Gold's down. Oil's down. The VIX is down almost below 20. It's at 2032. Yeah. This looks, I mean, looks a little back and forth. A mechanical low there off that D low, right off the B open and the settle from yesterday. But so let's get into it. Here we go. What I am thinking, I saw a tweet this morning that said Elon is going to be on the call for Oh, that's what happened. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry, I have a short on, but one of them got it goes to break even after it's up 20 ticks, and I guess it went up while I was gone and took me out. I was wondering. Um, but so, anyways, Elon said that he's going to be uh on the call today with Tesla. And so here's my thinking. We know Elon and we know what he can do, what he's up to, kind of, or what his plans are. And so with Tesla, or with Netflix getting that, that old smackarooski that they received, what we're looking for, or what I'm looking for, is for him to kind of try to save the earnings for them. It just seems possibly that, maybe he thinks that he's going to need to be on that call, because if he's not, then whatever the guidance is given might be misrepresented, or misrepresented, or misinterpreted, or uh mistakenly presented, right? Like just in the wrong format to the public. Elon knows what the public wants to hear, right? And a lot of these business people don't. And right now, the stock market is so emotional. We're getting a little bit of buying here all over the market. Um, let's see how we act when we get into the spike base, or the spike. Um, we know that the market is so emotional right now that there's good odds that something like that can really affect the price of Tesla, right? And if we pull up Tesla, we know that they can move pretty good. And they've been looking strong. So here's what I'm thinking. If Elon is not able to save Tesla, and Tesla does a one of these, a Netflix, let's say, and gets below the 200 moving average and stays there, I think you start to see, oops, oh, I can't clear it on this one. I think you start to see Apple start to search for it. And we've got a lot of other names that are still below it. Amazon's still below. Nvidia's back below. Uh, I mean, it's really just Apple and Tesla. And so if Tesla jumps down below there and just starts staying below, it's going to show weakness in some of the stronger sectors, right? And Tesla, everybody believes in Tesla. So if Tesla starts to show weakness, it's going to spook the market, and you might just see that flush. I'm not saying that it's going to crash today during earnings, but I'm just saying, you've got to be looking out for something like that. There's a lot of downside in the market today, but the market hasn't made a lot of downside, right? We're still up, values up, you know, uh, we're still in the upper portion of yesterday's range. Yeah, we're still in yesterday's range, which is why we're getting a little bit choppy. But, it's just something to think about. Morning, Jamie. You've got to, it's just more of just a theory than anything, because I don't think Elon's always on those earnings calls. But I could be mistaken. I don't really listen to the earnings calls all the time. So there is that as well. So watch how we act when we get to that top of yesterday's high, right? We know there's mechanical buyers and sellers in today. Let me take a look at the volume quick. Um, yeah, we're I mean, we're pretty good percentage more volume about 11% more volume than yesterday here. So pretty decent volume increase today. And that's probably has a lot to do with Netflix. Add them to this list right here because they're not in the their volume, 83 million. What's Apple? 25 million. Yeah, so they're about 3 times, a little bit over 3 times as much volume as Apple today. Some buying coming in here. Oh, I wanted to look at actually AIM all the time.
It did what I wanted.
Perfect. There you go. Nice. That's all here.
It
Stuff.
made me a very pretty penny.
Yeah.
I already got out of that trade and got into a new one.
It's always nice to wake up and just win right away.
Well, it was because it had gone up $1.30, and I needed it to go down $1. In
Mm.
order for me to be even, in order for me to be even, I needed it to go down $1. So when I woke up this morning and it was up $1.30, I was kind of freaking out. And I woke up and I was basically double in the hole what I was when I went to bed.
Oh shit.
And then it opened and it freaking tanked. And I actually bought 4 more on the way down because I was like, I'm gonna offset how far I'm in the hole. And I got out I did a very hefty sum today, which was
Nice.
nice.
That's good.
It worked out well. I'll just say that.
And that's awesome too because like, that's like, it's showing that your trade plan like that you had is working out. And not only did it work out, but instead of panicking on, it being up $1.30, you just stayed patient and then even were able to increase your gain because you had the good feeling on it. So that's awesome. Did I not mark halfback? So right at the top of the spike here, watch this volume here, on this 69. We are starting to get some buyers here. Oil's starting to go green here. I mean, barely up, 0.25%, but there's something to keep an eye on. Consumer discretionary is just getting absolutely. To give you a little picture of what's, oh, look all different. I mean, you can kind of see, financials are doing good, consumer staples are doing good, energy is doing okay, real estate, utilities, a couple things are getting smacked. This is an energy. Materials, communication services, right? Just getting the big hammer here, and consumer discretionary. Information technology is doing okay, but if Microsoft starts to turn red, which it's not looking like it, but if it does start to turn red, it's not going to be great for the rest of the market. I don't think financials are going to be able to keep this up. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, we've been talking about for a while, XLF, our financial sector of the market, did gap up today and is still looking strong, heading back towards that 200, right? And so this is something that we talked about that needs to happen because it's been lagging, and it needs to be able to get a boost in order for the market to keep going up, but it can't do it on its own here. But also, that is telling you it's still going to be our sector to watch. right? Because if financials starts to turn red, well, if everything else around it is red, it's probably going to be pulling back. Financials is a pretty decent size of the S&P, and you know, that's just something to note, right? Something to take note of. If whatever your correlation chart or whatever you have where you're looking at stuff, that's something to take note of. One thing I also wanted to show you guys, I screenshot it on my phone, but let me just see if I can find it because I screenshot it off of Twitter. Oh, oh. I follow this guy on Twitter, Kim Carson. He posted this thing yesterday, which is pretty interesting. And this shows the S&P 500 sector comparison by market cap 1980 to 2007 to 2019, right? Great information. But you can look inside, and let's do a little bit. Look at the biggest sector, and we'll talk about 1980 first. 1980, the biggest sector is energy, okay? 2007, energy is only 11%. 2019, energy is only 4%. Well, think about this is kind of my counter argument to the market, uh if the market were to pull back hard, the rebalance that would most likely happen. And I'm pretty sure that's what Kim's probably getting at. We can pretty much cross this off. This is industrials. They're pretty much the same across the board. Look at information technology. But we know, the internet was created, so we can expect this maybe probably to maintain that piece, right? But let's say energy takes back, let's say it just takes back half, right? So let's say we've got 20%, or we'll just do it like this, 20% information technology. We'll call, what's this here? Industrials, we'll call that 10%. Financials we see they were bigger, but now they're smaller. So we'll just call them 10% as well. Consumer discretionary 10, 10, 10. We'll call that 10 as well. Consumer staples 7, 10, 10. We'll call that 10 as well. Healthcare, we'll call it 10. Real estate, where's this light gray at? It's just this one. We'll call it 2%. Communication, look at the communications grown. We're just going to give that one 10% as well, just because it was 3, 4, now it's 13, so we'll knock it down to 10. Utilities 4, 3, 3. We'll just call it 3. Energy, right? Energy. So energy we'll give a 20. And then materials we'll probably give a 5. So let's do this: 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 and some change. Okay? So think about this possibility of rebalancing going forward if the market were to pull back, and how. So just this, what I'm trying to do is kind of just open your mind to the possibility that if the tech stocks bring us down far, they're not just going to keep them, they're not going to maintain their weight. Basically, that's just not how it works. They're going to go down. If the other sectors don't come down as much, the sectors will rebalance. Why, you've got to update the sector's weight every single, I mean, you could do it every single day, but every single month. But you could see a bit of a pullback in information technology, right? You could even drop this to 15. We could probably drop our energy to 15, and that'll probably get us back to our 100% here. But going forward, what I am thinking is energy is going to become a lot more important than it is right now. On this post, he didn't really say, let me see some of this other stuff. Oh, here it is. So I mean, he just gives some other information on here. I would recommend you follow him. He's an old market maker. He's a pretty cool dude too. And then he put this. It's just the beginning, right? And so I think that's what he's alluding to, and that's kind of what I'm drawing from that. And I think that's something that we should all understand, that just because some of these tech companies die, right, doesn't necessarily. And I mean, I'm not saying like going to go out of business, because I don't think Netflix or something like that is going to go out of business, but eventually there's going to be a clear winner and a loser, right? You can't just run a company forever without it making any profit, which is what a lot of these streaming services are doing, right? Yeah, they make $1 billion a day, but they also spend a lot of money, right? Hulu's got smart. They started adding all these ads for a cheaper premium for their services, and that's been working out for them. Netflix is looking at doing the same thing, but eventually Disney will just buy everything. No, I'm just kidding. But like eventually, some of because there's a streaming service for just absolutely fucking everything now, and so now your internet, which originally went from like $100 a month, and you got regular TV and shit, and then you got Netflix, and then you had all the movies you wanted, but now you've got to get like Netflix and Amazon and Disney and fucking Hulu and fucking Tubi and Peacock and Paramount and all this bullshit that's happening. Now your internet bill's back up to 100 or $200 a month because you have to pay $7.99 for every single streaming service if you want to watch any movies, because they're all on different channels, and they do it on purpose naturally. you know um they're not going to release a big series or a big movie when another streaming service is going to do the same thing, because they want everyone to come to their streaming service, because that's how it works, right? Is all I got to do is get you in the door, and then once you're in the door, you might see something that catches your eye, and then boom, you're going to stay, and then now you're going to be on a series, and that's kind of how they capture you, right? It's the same way with videos, the algorithms. That's just how they work. But eventually, people are not just going to keep subscribing to all of these things. They're just not going to have the money to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over. So they're going to narrow it down. And I don't think Netflix really is going to be going anywhere. I think probably Netflix, Disney, Hulu, and Amazon are probably going to maintain what they've got, what they've had going on, because they've seemed to be making the best movies themselves. And we might even see big buying coming in the market right here. Yeah, some big buyers coming in right here. It looks like might get a nice little pop. Gonna force me to go to Paramount. Well, that's the thing. Eventually, like they'll just get absorbed, right? Because they run a lot of stuff, but it's just so hard for some of those smaller companies, because like Netflix is so established. Netflix is basically like the OG, right? They kind of set the game up, and now everyone's playing their game, and they've just kind of fallen behind. They went on autopilot for a little bit, and then other people started making their own shows, and then they're like, oh shit, we got to catch up. I need to make my own show, and so they're kind of trying to catch up. Amazon probably not going to go anywhere. Obviously, Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, which a lot of people do, um, the streaming service is free. And then Disney, the same thing. Or people just it's nostalgic, especially for like people around like my age and a little bit older. Probably anyone like in their 30s, 40s. You know, that's just like what they grew up on, those Disney movies. So they need that. Tesla's getting clapped. So I mean, it'll just be, eventually some are gonna die out, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna pull away from that, that communication services sector. It's gonna shrink it down a little bit. And I think where the weight will go, where the money will go, is into the energy sector, naturally. Like just based off of history, right? Like based off of natural human instinct, they tend to run to things um that they need, right? And if you think about the things that you actually need, you don't need Paramount. You need shelter, water, you know, electricity, maybe, um, energy, power, shit like that. So consumer staples like Walmart, Costco, grocery stores, right? Um, Procter Gamble, real estate probably is going to get clapped a little bit, but it's not a very big sector. Materials might go up as well, which won't be outstanding, but I think maybe the energy sector. I mean, the energy sector right now is already just kind of saving the market. But I think if there is a little reset, a little smackarooski to the downside, energy sector is going to be the place that I'm going to be looking to stash some cash. So if you've got money sitting on the sidelines that you're looking to put in a longer term portfolio, or a longer term play, the energy sector might be a decent spot to look on a pullback. Right now is not the time. Obviously, energy sector is just all the way up, but there might be some opportunity. So there's that pop that we were looking for. And this is what I've been kind of looking for them to establish themselves up above this 72. That's what I'd like to see. But for some reason, there just seems to be some resistance at this open. That D high pretty much just opened and just, kind of sold off. So we're still seeing a little bit of responsive selling up here. But these buyers are doing a pretty decent job buying in yesterday's spike. So value is still shifting up. Compare it to yesterday, right? Value is up. And what we would be applying right here is our balance rules. Where's the... when I save a PDF, I save it to desktop, and you would assume that it saves it like all right next to each other, but it doesn't. It just saves it all over the place. It's like, oh yeah, you want it there? What were we looking? Well, that's the 18th. Yeah, see, where's the 19th? I'll just look. Here we go. So I'm trying to pull up. Okay. Okay, so balance rules, right? So the market explores an upside breakout, but is met by aggressive sellers. Price fails to be accepted above the breakout. Fade the price probe. Failure. Potential target for the rotation is the opposite end of balance, right? We saw this literally like 2 days ago, right? Monday. Thursday probed lower, and Monday just rallied up. Tuesday finished the job. Where do we go? Market explores to the upside. Higher prices received an unexpected response and attract even more buyers. Higher prices are accepted. Breakout is successful. Go with price in the direction of the breakout. Okay. So that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for acceptance. And for me, I want to see it above this 72 and then push. But for right now, especially when we have that early cessation of one time frame, we're really just kind of chopping up, but you've just got to pay attention. That value is forming higher here. Trying to get some selling in the market here too, it looks like. And remember, we're still watching this level here, and the Globex low pretty much came right down to it, but this 33 level is just so weak to me that it seems like that will be the target if they were to break this poor low that we're having. What's unfortunate here, and what it's kind of telling, is what we're looking for, right? If price breaks above balance, we're looking for initiated buying to show up above balance. We know our balance high was 67. Was it 67? I think it was. Let's see here.
Sounds right.
I just want to make sure. 67. Yeah, it was 67. And so, hello, can I draw? Yeah. So we're 67, right where our spike high is at, right? That's the very top of balance. We closed that gap. There was a little gap right here, but obviously they're filling that in. And that's kind of what it looks like they're doing. It looks like they were kind of back testing this gap, or kind of just backfilling this gap, and then the decision will be made from there. But we didn't get this big volume up here. We did get, 13,000 is pretty close. This one, that's probably just a little bit less than here. But we didn't get them to move the volume up. Even E high wasn't even able to get up there, right? And so what we're thinking right now is E is an inside bar. So the auction in E, auction down, mechanical buyers showed up at the spike base and bought it up. And then when it got to the upside, we basically just kind of ran out of steam, right? And so when you're looking at this profile, I mean, you could even split it here. We had this initial auction that looked like liquidation from overnight inventory, right? Which is all this was. Does everybody see that? So overnight inventory is long for the most part. Uh, at the end, right? They got short, but then went all the way up here. So I just assume that all of this is corrected. So overnight inventory for the most part has a lot of long inventory on the open. They flush it, and then now we have excess and excess. E is inside, and so right now that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a break of either side of that D profile or the DTPO to give us a little bit more insight. That's what I'm looking for. And that's probably, the safest bet here because, establishment above 72 will take us above that D high, and that's something that I'd like to see. I really liked that open, just, it just flushed so quick, so it was just so weak. But I liked the gap up that showed that, these buyers are not scared, even though Netflix is down, 36%. 36%, imagine that. I mean, you expect like, some shit coin to get clapped 36% in a day. Not even in a day, in a hour.
I sell it, so I got back in again.
On AMD.
Yeah, well, I had to sell, and I know I saw it going down, and I was like, because usually get in, and then what I'll do is I'll set a sell based on a rough number of where I'm expecting it to, and this time it was actually in the process of going down, and I just didn't even notice it, and so it hit my sell, and I kind of missed, and so then I had to get back in because I didn't want to miss out, because
Oh,
I see IT going negative today. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but
I think you're right. Yeah, the only thing holding it up is Microsoft. That's it. Microsoft's for some reason gassing today, but other than that, everything else, if we look at the Fang too, like the only thing that's well, I mean, JP Morgan, Johnson Johnson don't really count, but the only thing that's actually positive is Microsoft. Apple's negative, Amazon's negative, Google's negative, Tesla's negative, Nvidia, Facebook, Netflix. We put it in extended trading hours. I don't know why this thing says only down 9%. They're down a lot more than 9%. Tesla's starting to come down here pretty good too. Oh, AMD's coming down.
all the better, my dear. All
Huh? So that be careful. I emailed you guys or I posted the template for the Sierra charts. The DOM that's in there, if you place your trade, if it trades through the DOM, they're gonna have a automatic trail on them if it brings over my settings. It's supposed to. So but just be aware of that. It just breaks it if you get 20 ticks in profit, it takes it to break even. That's it. So CL's pushing back down now. Energy's coming down. Train, what did you say you were watching? Snap and Roblox. Great. So Train, not that you need to, but what I want you to do, you don't need to post it, but what I want you to do is um whatever charting platform you're looking on, draw on it and then screenshot it so you have it and draw your analysis on it, or just type up your analysis next to it. And that way you can look for the levels and stuff like that. And that way when the market gets close to those levels that you've already predetermined, you can pay attention to the auction and look for those things, right? For a hold or for an investment. And I think both of those are good long term. I think Roblox is definitely a good long term investment too. It's just a matter of getting it at the right price. It's just been getting smacked up lately. But I mean, if it starts to fall, it's going to start to fall. And if you just, you have a preset level, you pay attention to the auction at that level, you see these responsive buyers start to buy, boom. And you might have already done that. I have no idea. But it's something that I would recommend. Now we're really just kind of in a chop zone. It's a tough spot here. We've been using the spike as support, but for me, I'm just not a huge fan of the area that it's in right here. Yes, perfect. Yep. Yeah, find a solid level, especially when you're looking for that long term. And then when you're building something that you're going to be holding on to long term, it's not very productive to be checking it every single day. You know what I mean? I can't. One, 5 seconds till this next period opens up. So let's see. We just finished that auction inside of the D auction. Let's see what F brings us. Volume's cooling off a little bit here. We started off 16% higher than yesterday, and now we're about 7% higher than yesterday. So it seems like the market is failing to bring in the initiated buying that it requires, right? What I imagine is we're probably getting a little bit of responsive selling near this 200 SMA as well. It's at 89.90, so 90. Hey Brad, why do you prefer playing BTS than BTC? I play both, yeah. I do prefer the ES though. You are right, CNFT Witcher. And the reason being is it's just easier. And it's just more. I mean, really, it's that's really what it is. It's just the ease, honestly. Um, for crypto, I tend to make a lot less trades, but when you compare the returns, they're pretty similar. Um, it's just most of the time when I'm taking a crypto trade, I'm not going to be in the trade for 30 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Most of the time you get in a crypto trade, it's for, a few hours. Uh, Sometimes that's like, the minimum. And where the ES trade, it could go your way in like a minute and you're good to go and you can be in and out. And with the ES, like, it goes straight into my bank account. Well, it goes in my trading account and I just swipe it over and boom, it's in my bank account. So if I wanted the money really quick, I'm good. I don't have to wait for like any exchange fees or gas or anything bullshit like that. Um, so there's benefits both ways. But yeah, I mean, I trade both. I've actually been trading a lot more crypto lately since the volatility's come back. It's a lot of fun to trade crypto when volatility is in season. And honestly, during the summer when the ES slows down, which is pretty typical of futures during the summer months, normally the market chills out. We'll see what happens this year. This year is a little bit different than every other year, but um, I'll probably start trading a lot more crypto. I'll still trade the ES, though, of course. And also the ES is kind of like, it's like my baby. I've been trading the ES for a long time. I really didn't even start trading crypto probably like what? Only been trading crypto for like maybe 4 years. Yeah, about or maybe 3 years. I was just a buyer of crypto, not really a trader. Because back, well, like when I was doing it Binance too, you couldn't even buy it. Binance US, you weren't really able to short either. Market is just undecided right here. BTC Brad is a good name though. Well, yeah. So the reason I actually got that or kind of changed it to that is because when Bitcoin originally was about to crash, um, I was first. I feel like, and it was just based off of Elon. But I even that was back when Ramon had like 2.5 Bitcoins, and that was back when Bitcoin was at like I think it was at 60K, and I told him he should sell, and then and then, you know, fucking massacre. Then a balance, and look at us go back to 41K, doing good. That's how you got your attention. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing is like a lot of times that's what gets gets people's attention. You know, the big moves or the big gains or, you know, the trade plans and stuff like that. But you know what we're focused on here, and it's easy to tell what people in the Discord kind of, you know, just fade off because they just want the green light or the red light, right? They're like, hey, should I go long or short? And then they're just gonna fucking close their eyes and go long or short, and then send me a message on Discord that says you were wrong. I'm like, yeah, that shit happens all the time. So welcome to my life. Um, but what we're trying to build here is more people that are here to learn and understand that it just takes time to learn. Some people are faster than others, but there's just so many nuances of the market. We just focus on understanding the auction, right? And if you can understand the auction, or once you start to understand the auction, trading becomes a lot less stressful. And then you can start focusing on those emotions that you feel when you are trading, right? Inevitably, people are going to feel emotions when they're trading. Yeah, exactly. The green dot, right? And I kind of went at that hard because it was necessary at first. You know, I had to play the devil's advocate, unfortunately. Not that I don't have anything against um, you know, crypto face. It was just that, you know, that was just to think that something like that is just going to give you um a fucking, you know, a key to success is just not possible. Just like the market profile is not just going to make you a better trader, right? Only you can make you a better trader. And that's what I was trying to explain to people, but they weren't getting it. They were just getting like, well, where's the fucking green dot on the market profile? There's not one. These TPOs aren't lighting up. What's the deal here? This shit doesn't work, and they just abandon it. But you know, it's a graphical representation of the auction, and that's what I try to put on people. Is like, you just gotta understand the auction. You understand the auction, boom, you're set. Dude got to jump out for a moment. A magic pill, a silver bullet. I don't know, just out here. Ooh, a lot of selling in the market right here. Careful. A lot of selling coming in real quick. All over too. Like just XLY, XLF. The Dow's getting a little smackdown. Google, Facebook. Facebook's already getting the smackdown. But you know, like, yeah, that's just it was just something I had to do, you know. It was for the good of the people. And sometimes you got to be the bad guy to show people the good, and not a lot of people can do that. And you know, most of my best friends didn't like me when they first met me. I even think James didn't like me when he first met me, you know. And most, you know, most of my best friends are when they first met me, they're like, "The fuck's wrong with this guy? He's an idiot." I'll even tell you a better story. My wife, we met when we were in the military. My wife was one of the first combat medics to come to an infantry battalion. Um, you know, back when we only had male medics and we started to get female medics, so she was one of the first, like the test pilots to come there. And we're in the field and we're setting up the field hospital, and I'm on top of this track, and a bunch of the medics are just down there, you know, kind of not doing shit. And I said, "Hey, are you just gonna fucking stand there all day, or are you gonna do some fucking work?" You know? And you know, my wife remembers it. And this was before we were, you know, we didn't even know each other. You know, this was like a immediate interaction. And she just thought, who's this asshole that thinks that he's in charge when we're all the same rank? But you know, for me, I don't fuck around. Like, I want to get shit done so I can do nothing. That's like been my goal in life. Like, work really hard so I can chill. Like, just get the work done, and then boom, we're done. Do it right the first time, boom, you're done. And you know, so I don't mind having to having to do that. It's not a big thing for me. I have never been one of those people who really care what people think about me.
There are people who need hand holding, and people who call things straight are offensive to them.
Yeah, and I probably got a lot of that from my dad because he's very similar, right? And I'm the same way with my kids, and you guys would be surprised. Like, and even other kids are surprised. Like yesterday, an example, we're playing football outside, and I told Curtis to run a fucking in, and he ran an out, and so I threw the ball in, and he gets all pissy. There's a selling, guys. Yeah, I knew it was coming. Careful here. It's all over. Oil's gassing. It's the only thing that's going up here. Technology is
Nice, you
getting
went negative.
smacked. Bonds are jumping up. We broke that low of E, so now we know the auction's down, so now we're looking for the break of the D low, which we know is a mechanical low. Selling is heavy here. Yeah, selling's heavy. So you know, I threw it in, and you know, Curtis gets all pissy, and I was like, I told you to run it in, you ran it out. And the kid's like, he's like, you just got to put your hands up, like some other kid that we were playing with, one of the neighbor kids. And I was like, you don't need to put your hands up, you need to run the right fucking route. And the other kid, you know, just almost shocked, right? Like, oh shit. But like my kids are like, okay, you know, I'll run the right route next time. And like it's just, you know, it's just direct. Like I'm just direct with him. I'm not telling him like, next time you'll do it, or you know, it's okay, you know, just pay attention next time. I'm like, no, like you need to pay attention every time. Oh, fucking corn, look at it go. Look at this. Fucking over here singing Aladdin. I can show you the world. You say AMD broke down?
Yeah, it finally hit it. And the IT sector is actually negative now.
Oh, yep. Microsoft's barely hanging on to green right here, 0.25 up. Amazon's almost down 3%. Tesla's almost down 5%. Nvidia's 4%. Facebook's 7.5%. Netflix 37%. Jesus. Selling's still coming in here. Yeah, and I just remember that kind of stuff as a kid. Like, you know, because my dad was the same way. He didn't like he liked to play games and like to mess around, but you know, when you are just fucking off and we're trying to win, it's not on his list of things to tolerate. And he's just not, it's just he just didn't never had time to fuck around, like to the sugarcoat shit. So he just gave it to you straight. And then unfortunately sometimes you know, people can't handle it straight. You know, and that stems from my grandpa
Damn straight.
giving it to my dad and my uncles, and you wouldn't even know it now. He wouldn't even think he ever knew what yelling is.
His favorite phrase growing up was, when I say jump, ask how high on the way up. I mean, and that was literally what he told us regularly.
That's funny. So we're getting close to this low here as we're getting you know, we ticked down past it a couple of times, but we're getting close to this volume here. We had this volume here yesterday, which kind of supported, and then we saw that kind of liquidation, which is why the last was so much lower. We had a liquidation after hours that kind of brought us down back right into value. So that's what we've got to be careful of here, is that could definitely be a quick liquidation, or you could see buyers step up and start to fill this gap in, right? Remember this, what we had a previous what was it, 36 to 25, or I think maybe it's 35.25. And then yesterday, you can see we kind of filled in this, 38 to 48. So if it does pull back, this would be the space that we would look for responsive buying to hold up to. But if we don't see it, look for it to flush all the way down to that last trade here. But you're not getting a lot of follow through. We are spending a lot of time here though, and volume is coming down too. Yeah, the way Netflix is going, it won't be in the Fang much longer. That's for damn sure. They're gonna have to rename it. They're gonna call it Tang. Tesla, Apple. Oh, I guess you gotta get rid of the N. We get rid of the F too. Facebook's getting clapped. Just call it Tag. Tesla, Apple, Google. What's Tag stocks doing? Trademark that. I called it first. Watch the 61 if we come back up and retest this 61. It seems to be the spot that they're trying to sell it from. You can see where the volume's, well, that's where the stem of the volume. And remember, the more time we spend inside yesterday's value, the more likely it becomes that we trade back to the point of control and the opposite end of value. And what's interesting here is we have point of control from yesterday, very prominent point of control from overnight, 16 TPOs wide, right around that same area. So it's 44 to 41. Almost like I typed that in the trade view last. Four 46, 440. So this is what I was talking about last night in the trade view, and why this is a bit tricky, because it's tough to be short here, right at the lows. Like maybe if you were able to catch a short a little bit higher. I mean, there is opportunity. It's just where you're going to put your stop is a tough one. Probably previous high of day, right? It's not too bad. 7 points, but where are you going to look for? We know that there's going to be buying down in this area here. Most likely, that's where we'll see responsive buying. And it'll be tough to hold that short because you'll probably get some rotation. And now we're starting to see some buying come in the market. In the NQ, get a little bit of gas. Technology, Dow, Apple's getting a little bit of buying into it. But you probably get that reaction because I don't think everybody has fully. I don't think everyone's accepting reality. A lot of people are. A lot of people are wanting to be reinserted into the matrix and forget everything. Have I checked EDF? Let me look. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just destined for greatness, honestly, because that's why I think I don't think people are accepting reality of the situation that like if Europe doesn't figure out their energy issue, we were getting some selling in Microsoft here, AMD's getting some selling, Apple, Tesla, Nasdaq. Um, if they don't figure out the deal with this energy crisis, it's we saw what happened in Texas, right? When they had like a flash freeze, people literally died because they didn't have heat for like a couple of days, right? They final or day after tomorrow type shit. They just froze to death, you know? Um, and it's not even that cold in Texas. The German winter is like, it's basically hell. So they've got to figure that shit out, and people are just like not taking that in consideration, and we don't have any regulations on American energy companies slanging our energy to the EU. A lot of selling coming in here. Let it burn, let it burn. Yeah, so I mean, I think that EDF is probably a decent candidate for for long term, especially it's pretty cheap. So they tested that low side one more time. They bring it back up to the 61 again. This is where it was offered at last time. This is the level we keep watching, right? See if they keep holding it below. The breath is still positive on the New York Stock Exchange, but the Nasdaq's just getting smacked. Selling Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, buying in oil. Yeah, double R. I think that would be one that you would just invest in and just hold on to for a good amount of time. Especially, I mean, it's pretty cheap, so you have an opportunity to hold it. I mean, just like anything, it could go to zero, but it could also go to 100. So who knows? Selling in Google. I really think they sell Microsoft off. Microsoft's about to go red here. If there's options on it too, you could offset with options. I just don't know if I don't have access to trade it, which is fucking bullshit. But I'm sure I could probably figure out a way. Offer on the 59 quarter. Refill. Buyer's trying to absorb down here a little bit, it looks like, right below the settle. So it looks a little bit mechanical, to be honest with you. We're seeing oil get a little bit of a pump and gold. Microsoft's getting a little bit of selling there. Microsoft's just barely holding on to green, about 0.02% above yesterday. It's like, how many people can they trap above here to, before they just drop this thing like a stone? You know what I mean? Like, how many people are just so faithful that they just buy everything because they see that it's come down a little bit and like, oh yeah, buy it because it's going to break out. We need to buy it, buy it. Tough. You see our weekly VWAP on Bitcoin lining up right with our previous number 4593, right above the previous balance. I didn't. Bitcoin actually made a nice trade yesterday. I didn't end up trading it. But yeah, double R. So if there's options, there's things that you can do with options to offset your, like, let's say you buy it, right, and it starts to go down. There's ways to use options to basically hedge. Let's see if we're going to keep getting this continuation here. There's a little bit of buying coming in right here on Microsoft. Microsoft's back up 0.12%. On a plus 500. What's that mean? What do we got? 30 seconds. Oh, it's a trading platform. Oh, okay. Interesting down here. There's some absorption on the 58 order, but it might have been short covering down there. Let's see if we get this continuation. We are one time framing down from the C period. Let's see if we continue one time framing or give it a rest. Ooh, some green all over. 97% buyers, 3% sellers. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty normal for, well, I mean, it's an earlier stock and it's a cheaper stock, but people tend not to short stuff until some levels are established so they can short off of levels. How the options would work, it really just depends on your play and depends what options are available. I don't have an options chain for it. Let me look for a chain that is price range though, and then we can. Microsoft's up almost 0.25%. Just trying to find something that's so here's EDF in the that's options. Let's see, what's something that's that it's like cheaper. We can look at their options. Technology is getting a little bit of buying. Tesla here. Oil's going up too. Well, the whole market's going up. Everything's green. Buy everything. They're really buying the shit out of all this stuff. Someone give me a ticker that has options that's a little bit lower.
AMD.
AMD there. Well, AMD's, how much is AMD? That's still
right now,
94 bucks. No, I don't mean the option price. I mean the
the
stock price. Let me look. Option. Here we go. Do ARM. Okay, so AMRN, right? It doesn't really matter, but we're just going to look at how the options work. So if we're looking at these May options, right? And you can see they're fairly cheap. But what you would be looking to do, let's say you bought 100 shares, you could sell covered calls. So you could sell out of the money calls, or you could even sell puts if you wanted to buy it lower. I mean, there's really a lot of things that you could do. It just depends if you're going to buy the shares first and how much money is going to be in the account, really. That's what it would kind of depend upon. But basically, if it has options, what you could do if you're looking for if you're looking for, let's say you're looking to buy EDF at $8, right? You want it to go down $8. So you go over here to these $8 puts and you could sell those $8 puts, right? And so basically what that would mean, but you just have to have the money to buy 100 shares in your account. This is a lot of times how I end up getting into shit is I'll go to it, sell puts on it, and if it doesn't get below $8, well, you get to keep the premium. If it gets below $8, you still keep the premium, but you have to buy the shares. Well, no big deal because you're looking to buy the shares anyways. And this way, it makes you patient to not buy them until they get below $8. And so what I'll do is I'll keep selling puts at $8 every single. You could sell them every week. You could sell them monthly. Look for the biggest bang for your buck. It's better to sell a put on a pullback, right, to the downside, get some momentum to the downside, sell that put, The premium's going to be up. That way, if the market does bounce, you get to keep a higher premium. Not really great to sell puts when the market is on its way up, but you're not worried about even if it does keep going down because you're going to be buying them anyways, right? You're going to be buying the shares. Go big green in the market here. But yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I like to do when I like to buy stuff. I was doing that with Apple for a long time too. I owned a bunch of Apple shares and I was just selling puts against them and buying more. There's like a way to get paid to buy the dip, kind of. Microsoft's gas in here up 0.5%. You're starting to see a lot of these FANG stocks start to pump up here. Netflix is only down 35%. You're starting to see a lot of consolidation within these regular trading hours. Apple's, I mean, even on this chart, showing positive, but starting to see some more upside here. Look for the volume to follow. That's what we need. Is the volume going to follow here? Decent volume here on the half back. That's 68. That's 68.50. Yeah. Yeah, no need to jump into it if you're not comfortable with it. And you could always paper trade. A lot of times platforms offer paper trading. So practice trading the options before you trade them with real money for sure. Let's see if we're going to get a break of this one time framing to the downside here. Or if that was it, 100 and was that 110 contracts trade on the top tick? A lot of healthcare is green. UNH is up over, it's like 1.25%. We've got Visa up 1.5%. Walmart's up 1.2. Procter Gamble's up 2.31. Damn, Procter Gamble's such a G. Boom, look at Procter Gamble 63. Camel's about to break out. Starting to see some of the sectors turn green here. We've got healthcare green, consumer discretionary red, communication services red, financials, industrials, consumer staples, materials, and real estate all green. Utilities is red though. Utilities, information technology, consumer discretionary, and communication services all red. So basically what we're seeing here is, kind of the rest of the market is it's like the money's getting pulled out of the spots where it's been in a lot, like in tech and energy, and getting tossed into a little bit consumer staples and financials here. So pretty decent rotation. And we were actually able to identify it pretty early. Why we grabbed Procter Gamble and XLF. I think today might be the last day that we hold that XLF. Not looking great after today. Got PAL tomorrow too, remember, twice. I think it's gonna be at 8 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. my time. Anybody been trying that cold showers if you hadn't done it before?
It doesn't matter how many you take, the next one is always just as bad as the last.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've been doing that for probably 6 months now, and it's part of my morning routine. It's refreshing.
Right. Yeah, it gets you awake, that's for sure. And so I started adding a little bit to it, right, with the cold water. So now when I got this menthol shampoo, um and I mean, it just like,
I'm sure it
makes,
intensifies it.
yeah, it like makes it even more tingly. Yeah, it's pretty intense. Yeah, it's a lot easier to do it. It's a lot easier to do it in the summer. It's a lot easier when you step out of the shower. A little bit of buying come in the market here. Um, like an Apple, Google, Nvidia, Tesla. Yeah, it's a lot easier to do when you step out of the shower and it's warm. But when you step out of the shower and it's still like 40 degrees outside, you're like, I don't know if it's worth it. Still seeing buyers step up here for the most part. I didn't buy the Procter Gamble puts. I just bought Procter Gamble calls. That was it. And it was more of an earnings play and then a little bit of continuation from the earnings play. But I didn't I'm not going to exercise them. I'm not really adding too much to the long term yet. Maybe if Facebook breaks, that'll be an opportunity to add Facebook. I don't think Facebook's just going to disappear off the earth. I don't know what Powell's going to do tomorrow, man. It's interesting. Like, um, at this rate, kind of seems it was a big bid stepping up on the 70 here. If they test that 70, how it trades real quick. Almost there. Yeah, watch this 70 here. Pretty decent amount of volume coming in. Um, yeah, I don't know what Powell's gonna do. I feel like it depends. Well, really today after. Ooh, someone just smashed it down, but it's refilling here. Ooh, what's going on here? It looks like profit taking. All that selling looked like just a little bit of profit taking. Oh, here we go. Probably gonna pop. Yep, goes. Oh, getting a little bit wild here. So they're able to get those stops, but then they come right back down to the 70 where that big bid was at. And just to see if it's still there, and obviously, there it goes, pops back up, it's still there. That's what that looked like. It looked like it was a little bit of profit taking. And so when you see something like that, that's why it's important to be paying attention to where it pops from or where kind of the impulse is at. And we saw it off the 70 there, came up, they got those stops. So this buyer here that was sitting here was able to get that going, put a lot of work in to get it. And now we want to see if this level can hold, right? Because if this level can't hold, this buyer is fairly, large size, might be a short-term time frame trader. And if we get back inside yesterday's range, you might start to see them liquidate. So far, they're doing a pretty decent job at holding the 70 up so far. There's a lot of offers that have moved down to sell that 70. And the same thing on the inverse side, right? You've got a lot of offers moving down to sell that 70. To me, it kind of looked like a little bit of profit taking, but then we got that nice little pop. So it's really hard to tell. But if it was a lot of selling on that 70, they're going to be trapped. And if we get above the open, you'll probably look at testing the high of the day. Oh, shit. Goodbye. A lot less migraine since you started. Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean it can really help out because it kind of shocks your central nervous system and wakes your body up, tells you like, hey, we got shit to do. What? Not some stuff. Twitter's coming down. If it breaks this low here, it's got a gap below, so be careful to bring the market. It could scare the market at least. Watch the 70 here. Remember, that's our level we're watching. We're watching the 70. Gold's getting some buying in it. Oil, energy, financials. Nothing looks too bad yet. Ooh, big buying here. All over. All over. Everywhere. See if it goes. It's got to get above that open. Above that open is where the target is at, right? That's where this buyer's target is at. That's what he's looking. He's looking to get above the open because he knows that he's gonna get to the pop that he's looking for to cash out here. Sorry guys, I'm reading this thing. I guess Ross from Warrior Trading got sued. I just don't know why. I'm trying to figure it out. Article. Paste. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but apparently he's getting got sued or had to pay money or something like that. I don't know why though. little bit of a volume decrease on this way up here. We're gonna get a new bar here in about 4 minutes. But I mean, it is we're pretty pretty decent distance into the session, so it's natural for volume to start to taper off. We are starting to get a little bit of selling overall in the market. Microsoft's just barely up about 0.5%, and pretty much everything else is still down. Apple's getting, I mean, Apple's only down 0.19%. Could be a if Apple flips green, that could be a big one to flip green here. Oil's getting a some decent buying in it right now. Watch the 70, guys. That's our level, right? We watch the 70. We're still waiting for it. A nice break of the 70 could be what we need. Okay, Uncle Stacy, we'll see you in a bit. A break of that 70 could be, that buyer that was there start to sweat a little bit, right? We're getting a little bit of volume up here, but we'd like to see some more initiated buying, and we're just not really seeing that yet. We saw somebody try to take one for the team here, but like I said, it was pretty much off of this 70. If he can't hold it or get it above or kind of convince other buyers up here to enter the market, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough to keep going up if we're not convincing anybody to jump off the sidelines. But as long as we're holding above the 70, it seems okay. It's just that guy might have taken profit already because we were up, about the 76. And once he saw us start to fade, could already be just getting out. And it looks like there's some big offers moving down to kind of sell here too. So yeah, here. Here goes H. Let's see what we get here. Some buying coming in here. A little bit of buying in Apple. Apple's only 0.1% red. And like I said, if Apple can flip green, that could take the upside. Really just a battle here. We're watching the 70 on the low side, and that G high really should, if they get the buyers up there, they should be able to take that open, and that open should take us to the high. Here we go. See if the buyers pop it up. It's a careful spot too, because you've got to be careful that they don't just, liquidate as soon as they get the pop. Just because it's struggling so much here, I feel like buyers are so much quicker to take a little bit of profit. But we are starting to see some buying in Apple. Apple's almost switching to green here. Microsoft's struggling a little bit here though. Buying coming in. See if they can get it. See the volume here. Not able to get up above that open. For some reason, it's just struggling with that open. We should be able to just kind of pop above that open here, but having a tough time. It's a struggle fest here. Come on. Excuse me. See, this is what I'm kind of worried about. So I'm thinking that they're slowly popping this, but they're not getting any real conviction up here, and that's typically what tends to happen before the market starts to fade off. So, the long side is definitely still the right side for now, but it's a tough spot up here with when we're not seeing this initiated buying. You're kind of just seeing sellers just slowly absorb as price gets higher and higher, and longs tend to liquidate once they figure out that they've lost. That could be 70. Bit of selling here. Oil's getting a little bit of gas here too. Watch this 70 level as we come down, guys. This is just kind of, it's just, I don't know, it's a weird auction today. Just like they're just, nobody wants to make the first move. But I mean, value's still up. Yeah, see, there it goes. Just kind of figured that was going to happen, right? A little bit of a liquidation once buyers figure out that they don't have it. So let's see a response. See if these responsive buyers show back up at this 70 here. Doesn't look like it. uh, you know, and that's just how an auction goes, right? Like we go to a spot, and if we can't get any initiated buying, the price starts to become unfair and people stop buying. And then what happens? They liquidate all the long shit that they had because they've got to get rid of it, right? You can't just hold on to a bunch of losing shit forever. They got to liquidate, right? So a little rinse and repeat, try again, and we'll just, watch this watch the 70 level. Back to the 70 here. Watching and learning. Do I look at BTC TPO for trading at all or price set? So I'm looking at the TPO to track value on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, um, because of how it's traded right now, unless you want to trade Bitcoin futures, right? In futures, you could trade the same way that you're trading the ES. But if you're trading on like uh, Bybit or Binance or FTX or whatever you're trading on, you know how the fees and stuff go, so it's a little bit more. So you want to be looking for a little bit bigger of a move most times, and so for that, I'm looking for this shift of value or where value is going, um, and then I use that volume just to confirm, right, confirm success or failure, and but I mean, yeah, that's pretty much profile levels, and the ES I'm trading, very similar. The key is to track value and get in good position. It's tough to explain, like, real quick, because there's just so much that goes into it. So we're back up here to this higher volume spot at 73. You're seeing a little bit of buying step in. Let's see if they can get it above the open. That H low is pretty weak too. It's like right at yesterday's high, so I'm not really a truster of that. But we are seeing a little bit of volume shift up here, right? And look where it's at. It's right on the 70. So tried the low side. Now we're trying the high side. We're getting a bit of a 45-degree angle on this low side here, even though we do have a poor low, kind of on both sides, honestly. And we had this yesterday too. Right? Kind of happening on both sides here. Some good buying here. Apple's green here. Microsoft's getting a boost, almost up 0.75. A lot of green coming through the market here. Follow through. Selling off the open mechanical high and a mechanical low on this H period right here. And if you look at the profile right now, besides this poor low, we have a pretty balanced profile for the day, right? Value is, higher, a little bit overlapping to higher. So we're getting a little bit of a boost. And typically when we run out of supply, which is what looks like happened down here, it goes to test the opposite end. And the crack of that open would be pretty significant. I think we'll see a lot of short covering we can establish above that open. Buying all over here. A lot of buying pretty much everywhere. Healthcare is green, financials, industrials, consumer staples, energy, materials, utilities, and real estate all green right now. Information technology, consumer discretionary, and communication services are the only thing that are red. We've seen this happen before in the market go up, so careful here. Little liquidation there. Establish up over. Apple's back to red. Apple just flipped back to red, so be careful here. Watch the 70. See if they rebid. If they don't buy that 70 again, probably expect some downside. There's a 70. Right at the 70 still. Buyers still seem to be alive and present. We have a point of control shift here. VPOC, not yet. Pretty close though. Pretty close to seeing our VPOC shift above, which is going to tell us that, developing at least, that we've got some responsive buyers still alive. And so here's two scenarios. I gotta go work out soon. So two scenarios here with this volume forming, right? Because we're looking for either a measure of success or failure, right? But for right now, we're getting this kind of measure of success as long as price is above it. If price goes down and comes back to this volume and doesn't increase, be above this amount, and then price trades back up, those highs are probably just not safe, right? But if we break below this volume, come back down here, and we start to see these start to just increase, right? We got a 20K here. We start to see these increase, and price gets below that, then it could start acting as resistance, and then that'll tell us that most of this trading up here was probably responsive selling. I mean, it's tough. The 200 SMA is just so close. It's been acting like a magnet lately, and it just seems like that's where it wants to go. I'm still leaning to the long side just because value is up today, right? So it's hard not to. And my level, like I said, I'd like to see establish above this 72. We've been battling on the 70, but so we're kind of doing what I want to happen today. It's just we've got some mechanical lows that I'm not a huge fan of. And so I'm just being very cautious before getting any larger positions. I'm gonna try to wait for the market to give me a clue here, and that might just be later in the day, which is kind of what brings me to the time where we need to go work out. We need to get some energy, maybe get our eyes off the screen for a little bit, do something productive, and I mean, we're doing something productive here mentally. Now let's go do something productive physically and refresh that mental capital. I wonder if NinjaTrader fixed the API for yet. Ski. We actually got a volume increase in that last bar. in that G bar on the way up. About 7% higher than yesterday. So that was all, probably the 70 like we were talking about. Let me look in. 11 people post shit like $90,000 gain. You're like, oh, how many contracts? You're like, oh, 40. Like, the fuck up. Think this is my first day. That shit's not bitch. Back below that, so right at that 70 here. Be careful. Or we saw that kind of big liquidation earlier. Just a little when we got below that 70. From them, what the fuck? The VPOC basically the same right there. There it goes. It shifts up. So now we've got our volume point of control up higher. Now we really want to see price stay up here. If we're looking for this long here, this is where the market needs to hold here. I'm trying to chat with NinjaTrader, see if they can fix my fucking API so I can look at stocks. It really just looks like someone's absorbing the shit out of this 70. Like a buyer is just like, you know what, I'm gonna have all of these. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they've been struggling with lately, or anything that they're just uncertain of that we want to go over? Because I'm about to take off and work out, but if we want to go over something real quick, You know, no issues with that. That's probably why. Oh, can you remind me what it means by mechanical lows? So a mechanical low is something that ends at a very um easy to reference spot. So like the settle from yesterday, right? So let's say if like this D low when it came down there, that was a mechanical low. This H high happens to be, you know, one tick below the open of D and one tick above the open. Right? These are levels, mechanical levels are levels that are not going to change, right? They're unlike dynamic levels, they're going to be stuck there all day. So what happens is you get these short-term time frame traders who find these references like, oh, open, when it gets to the open, I want to sell it, and they just sell off the open, right? And if it goes their way, that's great. If not, then they just cut it short. And these people scalp off a lot of these levels. So that's why you see, look, a lot of volume on the settle because a lot of mechanical buyers are in the market today, right? Good amount of volume off the open. We just haven't had a lot of time spent up there, but a lot of volume off the open. That's a mechanical high, right? Yesterday's spike, right? The yesterday's high basically, you know, also has a pretty significant amount of volume, 15,000 here. So um, that's what those are mean. And sometimes mechanical low can be, you know, like this would be considered a mechanical low. It is also just a poor low, and I would honestly consider it a weak low because it's right here at the low. I just think right below that is where the break is going to come hard, but um you know, so that's just a poor low, and that's what that's telling us is when the auction came down, most likely selling shut off down here. So the auction came down, nobody else wanted to sell down here, and it came off, right? Because typically that very prominent point of control from the overnight, which also happened to be the last trade yesterday, um, would, if there was supply or selling, that's where their target would be, right? And they weren't able to get any momentum down there. And you can see it just kind of tapers off, right? Selling just kind of tapers off, buying steps in on the settle. And then, you know, we see pretty solid buying, just not in that spike. And I think that's what everyone's kind of afraid of. They're afraid of this spike. And this H low happens to be mechanical as well because it's right off that G half back. And so anytime something makes a reference that's not going to change, right? You see this H high, this H half back, which is the purple square, pink square, whatever color it is, um, makes that I high mechanical as well. So there's a lot of little nuances that just um, you know, take time to build into your tool belt. You know what I mean? You just slowly accumulate all of these nuances and then use them for recognition as time goes on. This house is nice. Back to the 70 here. Big volume shifting up, obviously. We're at 20,000 all three of these levels. Starting to see some buying in the market here. Let's see if they can get us above. FYI, I think chat is really delayed because it took you 10 minutes to see it. Oh, it's probably my fault, to be honest with you. I was sending an email, so I wasn't really checking the chat. My bad. That's probably my bad. Yeah, it's probably my bad. I was trying to send an email to NinjaTrader to see if they're gonna update their API so I can look at the TPO on stocks on there. Apple's green, Microsoft's green. Everything else is still looking bad. Facebook's down 6, almost 7%. Tesla's almost down 4%. Even Berkshire Hathaway's turning red. Google's down about 1%. Netflix is down fucking 35%. Off. So they fix that mechanical high. Let's see if buyers are going to step up. We're starting to see a bit of volume start to build here on the 73 as well. Oh, we want to keep seeing volume build higher to get price continuation here. This was getting a little bit of buying in there. Still down almost 4% though. Oh, there's supposed to rain at my house today, but it hasn't started yet. Utilities is flipped back to red here. $60. 60 looks like the level. If it breaks 60, I think that's where we'll get the spill from. So below 60, we might be able to try some nice shorts down there into the range, but we're just not seeing the amount of follow through that we need to see today. So that would be more of a liquidation play. You'd be trying to catch that on the way down before that 60, but that will be your target, looking for it to break of that 60 could bring out a bit of liquidation and catch you a nice move. Yeah, I'm gonna go work out. You guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And I will catch you guys tomorrow.